Hey, Sox fans. Welcome to Good Guys Talk Back, a local fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast, hosted by Nick Murawski and Pat Hester.
Hey, now! Oh, my goodness. I got that on repeat because we had
Hey, Sox fans. Welcome to Good Guys Talk Back.
Oh, my gosh,
a local fan-centric.
Sorry about that. Holy cow.
He's a mass comm major, ladies and gentlemen. He's worked many boards. He's done a lot of shows, a lot of podcasts. Sometimes you don't mess up, Nick. That's okay.
Yeah, it's only been show 321. We'll get it eventually. Boy, it is good to see you. It is good to be with all of you after this awesome White Sox Sunday win. Great weekend. You and I both were taking in Sox games this weekend. We'll get to that. But this is episode 321. We are a fan-centric Chicago White Sox podcast. Do this every week on Sunday nights live on the Good Guys Talk Back YouTube channel. Subscribe, pass it along, all that good stuff. Audio available absolutely everywhere you find your podcasts. Pat, it's good to have you back, sir. Our White Sox are 47-83. It doesn't feel like that. I'm not saying it feels flipped 83-47, not at all. There's continuing problems with the bullpen and blunders and lack of run production. But when they're on, and they were on Saturday and Sunday, it sure is fun. So Pat, welcome back. And have you been missing talking White Sox?
I have. You know, I missed, first of all, talking to you.
We
could be talking about, watching paint dry, and it'd be exciting.
We figured it out.
I don't know if we want to start a podcast about that, but hey, I'm excited to talk White Sox baseball. I was in the ballpark on Saturday. What a fun evening that was. I know you were there today, and you mentioned it, Nick. It feels different, right? We've talked about that a lot. It feels different, but here's where it is different. And I just wanted to look this up, and I know this is comparing a last year total number versus where we're at this year. We're still over a month of baseball to play, but if you're looking at, and again, a stat, I don't do a lot of statistical breakdown or analysis, but one of the most simple statistic that you can look at, which I think almost directly equates to the best teams and the teams that make the playoffs, is run differential. So last year's run differential, Nick, was a minus 306 for this ball club. Minus 306. To date, they are minus 72. Now, still minus because they're a losing ball club, but that's a plus 230 difference in run differential. So that's why, to me, it feels different. One, we've talked about the number of games that they've been in and lost by one run. That has to change if you're going to be a good ball club. But it is a big swing. And again, we still have a whole month of baseball left, but I would be surprised if they go that bad to get anywhere close to that minus 306 from last year. And in comparison, if you want to look at this year's worst team, that hopefully will at some point be the worst team in all of baseball, the Rockies are a minus 349 right now in run differential. And I happen to see that they are officially eliminated from the playoffs, in case you were curious. So that's why it feels different, Nick, is there is you can point to a stat, at least that stat, and go, okay, that's why it feels different, because this team isn't getting their doors blown off on an every night basis. And they're scoring a lot of runs now, Nick. I mean, they did lose on Friday, but scored 7 runs. They scored, 7 on Saturday and 8 today. So they're putting runs up for the most part in this back half of the season.
Yeah, that's a good stat. That's a stat. I remember we had Herb Lawrence on a show back maybe in 2021. It could have been 2020. It was a while ago, and Herb had been on a few times. Herb's an outstanding Sox fan, a great guest. And we were talking to Herb about the team that was kind of nipping on our heels, and he went right to run diff, I remember. And he said, look at the run differential. Like, they have got a record that's surprising, but they are not outscoring. They are, they will eventually fall off. And that team that was behind us sure and did fall behind. But that is something to look at. I mean, everybody else in the Central. So Detroit's plus 98 in run diff. Everybody else in the Central is in the negative column. And, Cleveland minus 50, Twins 57, we're minus 72, as you mentioned. Royals just minus 3. I believe the Sox have already surpassed their run total from all of last year as well. We know about the wins, of course. And Pat, they're at 47 wins. Did I say 52? Was that where I was calling for where I thought they could get?
Yeah, I think the eventual, depending on when you were looking at the lines, there was an early line on over under, I think, for the Sox at like 49, I think, everything. I think a lot of people pounded that 49, and it went up to about 53 and a half. So I think that's where you settled, was somewhere in that 52, 53 range, but they should get past that, I would think, pretty easily. And again, it's going to probably be a 100-loss season, or could be, right? Again, for this ball club, but it is moving in the right direction, and it feels, especially this second half. Now there's been downs with the ups in the second half since the All-Star break, but some of the ups have been really fun to watch, Nick. And it's just, you get out there and you just don't have as much talent as some other teams at some points. And it's going to show, but they have competed this year with a lot of teams. And that's a fun sign when you can, if there was a stat on compete level, last year compete level, minus $1 billion. This year compete level, I don't know what the number is, but it's there.
That's the TWTW, man.
Oh yeah. That's where you quantify that.
You can't measure that. Sydney asked in the chat, and welcome, Sydney. Good to have you. If I got the bobblehead today. And I did. It's right here. The Ken Griffey Jr. What a handsome bobblehead that is. That was your giveaway, your last Sunday bobblehead of the year, the Sunday series. Griffey Jr., really a cup of coffee, but that he's got the throwing motion, Pat, in this bobblehead of when he threw out Kadire in the blackout game, which that was what he was brought on the team for that one play in the blackout game, a couple home runs. I mean, do you remember where you were at when the Sox signed Griffey Jr.? I mean, when you heard?
I don't remember where I was at when they signed him. But it was, I think the first reaction I had was, this is so Kenny Williams of a signing, right? The one that he's been pining for, but Jerry would probably never let him spend the money for him. And now he's ripe for the picking, and the back half of more than the back half. He's teeing off on 18 in his career. And he gets one last little shot at something with the White Sox, and, didn't really do a whole heck of a lot, if I remember correctly, but that was a play that will live in White Sox history forever because of the moment, the rarity of a 162, the first of a blackout game that wasn't really technically a playoff game, but it was a playoff game, if you want to call it that. I mean, it was in a 1-0 game against your arch rivals. I mean, that had all the makings of, it goes the other way, and that's when we talk about as the most heartbreaking loss that we can remember, right? But it happened in our favor. We beat the pesky Twins in a very close ball game, which we didn't do very well against that team ever. With the likes of a Ken Griffey Jr., a Jim Thome, a Jermaine Dye in the lineup, and AJ Przinsky in the lineup, a Paul Canary. And you think about the names in that lineup, it's almost crazy to think about.
The only time, I think, in history where you had two 600 home run guys in the lineup, in Thome and in Griffey. So yeah, not a lot from him, but it was just kind of awesome to have Ken Griffey Jr. on the White Sox in a White Sox uniform, and him having that moment. And with they played it at the game today. With AJ showing the ball to Kadire afterwards, gives me just chills watching that every single time. And what a BB. Griffey, I mean, not only did he throw that to the correct side of home plate. But also the way he threw it and the bounce that it had to just give AJ that perfect kind of letter high tag. It was bang, bang. And that was really cool by the White Sox to do a bobblehead of Ken Griffey Jr. When you're talking about the 125 and you could have done it maybe on John Danks. He might have been a little bit more deserving, I would say. If you want to talk about guys, legendary guys, but the name Ken Griffey Jr., right? The iconic Ken Griffey Jr. That was a cool thing. And he played a small part in White Sox lore.
Yeah, it's more about the moment than the player, I think. And he just happened to be part of that moment. It could have been anybody playing center field and making that throw, but because it was, a Hall of Famer and by a lot of accounts, one of the best players ever live when you think about it. So yeah, very cool. I'm glad you got a bobblehead again. I'm looking forward to when the construction happens on the extension onto your house to get all these bobbleheads, Nick.
Well,
I don't know if
I've got a plan. I have got a shelving issue that I know I can solve. So it's just a quick adjustment. There's a couple of things I need to do this winter. But I mean, I don't have the most extensive collection out there. I mean, there are Sox fans that have really been able to acquire far more than I have. There's a handful that I'm missing, but there's some that I just I don't have a lot of the like the special ticket ones where like you got to buy a special ticket. And I think this year they did an Andrew Benintendi as Clark Griswold for Christmas Vacation. And that was a special giveaway.
Hold on. Explain that. Can you explain that one to me? Just because they do a Christmas in July thing every year. And for a few years, they did a Santa Claus bobblehead in a Sox jersey. And that was their Christmas in July special ticket. You'd buy it online, and then you went back by the concourse behind center field. You show your ticket, your voucher, and you would get the special bobblehead. They went away with that, and they did I think they did an ornament or something. But this year they decided to do a Christmas Lampoon's Christmas Vacation as Andrew Benintendi on the sled on that saucer as Clark Griswold goes flying down. He's in like that coat with the hood and everything. Now that would be one I would be interested in having. I don't know. Could they have chosen anybody in the world other than Andrew Benintendi to do that? Is there?
That's just a choice that they made. Yeah, I don't, that was a choice.
That is a choice. They did make that choice. All right. Well, cool.
Yeah,
so there you go.
Yeah.
You don't have that one.
So I think this Ken Griffey Jr. is number 82 in the collection.
Okay. All right.
So,
wow.
But I mean, and I'm only doing the stadium giveaway ones. But I know that there's people that have hundreds. I was in a line. I was in the line with a guy a couple months ago, and I overheard him talking about his 1,500 bobblehead collection, where he goes to parks all over the country and minor leagues, majors. He's collecting every single bobblehead, every sport. I mean, he's just, I'm like, okay, I'll handle my vice. My vice might be a little out of control, but that gentleman, he's got his hands full.
So since there's people that have these collections, and you would think that a lot of them that have that many probably have a lot that you have, and I'm sure you've unboxed them, but would you ever be in the business of selling them?
I save all the boxes, so I've got all the boxes, all the styrofoam.
What the hell are you keeping the boxes at? So you got 82 bobbleheads, and then you got. I mean, I've been to your house. You have a beautiful big house, but my goodness gracious, Nick.
I've got there's an attic, and the people that like have these Costco the black and yellow bins and the racks and everything. Just like I'm keeping them in business with the racks and the tubs just for the boxes alone. It's insane. I got to get things under control.
Crates of empty boxes. That's amazing.
Well, because you never know. I might be interested in selling some of these eventually, paring things down, and it's much more valuable if you've got the box. So
100%. You can't. which one was the one that you had to drill the cigarette into?
That's the Dick.
Oh, that's
the
Dick Allen.
one.
You may not be able to sell that one with the
I
drill
know.
hole in it.
I'm not looking to say that one's such a unique one. But yeah, I really enjoy what the Sox did this past year in terms of giveaways. I mean, it got me out to the ballpark with my son and wife, and I think it was really cool how they honored not only the 20th anniversary, but the 125 with these bobbleheads and all different kinds of giveaways. And I'll get more into the game here on Sunday, but I want to hear about your experience because you had a good giveaway and you got to go with your son and you saw Colson Montgomery's first grand slam. I mean, that was a heck of a game on Saturday.
Well, what an experience. First of all, it's the fun part is I'm lucky enough to have kids that want to go to baseball games. And my 5-year-old has become obsessed. Luke, good Lord, he's all about it. We're not even watching the games. He just wants to know what the score is, who did what, how many outs are in the inning. We're watching on the ESPN app half the time, and he's into it. So he said, Dad, when are we going back to a game? Dad, when are we going back? He's been asking me all week, Dad, we're going to go. So I happen to have tickets for Saturday's game. So I took him, and usually it's just not the two of us, it's usually, other kids or my wife with, and I thought it was a fun experience. And I thought, well, we'll see if he makes it the whole way. It's a 6:00 start. It'll be getting later by the time the game ends, but we did all the normal things. We got in, we went up to the kids zone. He loves that. He I don't want to brag, but he was 4 for 4 throwing at the catchers that move around the little conveyor belt.
Brag about that. Yeah, that's great.
I don't want to brag about it, but I will. He was awesome. Yeah. So he did that. He did all the things up there. And then we went down, had a hot dog. We had hot dogs. It was fantastic. And then we went to the seats and we watched the game and we just had a heck of a time, man. He was it's fun to watch a kid get that excited. I mean, a grand slam is exciting, but man, you would have thought something really exciting happened and this team was a really good team. But it's just a joy to experience that stuff as a dad, especially with your youngest that doesn't care about run differential from this year to last year, or are they going to finish in the playoffs? What maybe they could do in the off season with acquiring, just enjoying being at the ballpark. And we stayed to the end. We made another trip up to the kids zone, but just loves the game. So it was fun. And you mentioned the giveaway. It was a really cool giveaway. I won't be wearing it. I'm giving it to you because I know you'll appreciate it more and probably more of a better fit for Nick Murawski is the sweater vest, the V-neck sweater vest with the SOX
nice
in bold print across the front. I expect you to wear it like a lot of people were wearing it, Nick, with no shirt underneath and just let the guns out and be roaming around in that. So yeah, I'll be transferring over to you and it's going to look fantastic on you. But overall, great night. And my goodness, and I know we'll talk, I'm sure we will, when Montgomery gets into the box, you just feel like something good is going to happen. It's to that point now. He is must watch at bat at this point if you can watch him, and he's hitting the ball with extreme violence and velocity, and it's special, man. I mean, I was trying to be reserved, but I'm not reserved anymore. I'm all in, and he seems to be the real deal. So all in all, a great Saturday night at the ballpark.
Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful Saturday night. You had great weather, and that V-neck, that sweater vest. Oh my! Once I get my hands on that thing, I am going to find every occasion to wear that. That might show up in the Christmas card, the Murawski family Christmas card this year.
Well, I know it's going to. Now if it's not, I'm going to be quite disappointed.
I think I might have to just wear that almost under just a blazer, kind of like how Ditka would wear the sweater under the sports jacket on the sideline with the shirt and tie.
Is that acceptable for work as a dean of students?
If they have free dress Friday or something, boy, that thing's going to come out alive. I might have to put some lights on that or something and just pop it a little bit. But Wow, that was a sweet one. Yeah, I mean, this Colson Montgomery guy, I've got some quotes from him. He is just the thing to follow right now in my mind. I
Yeah.
mean, he's having some blunders with the glove. He had some issues in Atlanta. Just a little bit with the hands. He's got to get some softer hands. But I like how he's throwing on the motion, on the run, kind of fluid. But sometimes he just doesn't get his feet over enough, and it looks like he is a little off balance. Hits him in the wrong spot of the hand. He's booted a couple things. I still have him penciled in as a shortstop. I know they've tried a little bit at third base, but maybe we'll talk a little bit later in this episode, kind of early next year lineup. I like him at short. I think that's where he's going to be. He's not hurting himself that much as a rookie with the glove. I think it was going to be more the bat that we were going to be worried about. It was going to be, can this guy live up to major league pitching? Because we've had so many guys that have come up that we thought were going to be offensive weapons that have not been. Andrew Vaughn and Colson Montgomery is just that breath of fresh air. He's doing it. It's happening. So you had that experience, and I had a home run from Colson Montgomery today as well. I mean, a bomb.
Another one almost to the concourse.
Almost to the concourse. And it's kind of like an effortless swing, and it's so beautiful to watch. I think he's at 13 home runs right now. And your team leader is, I believe, Sosa with 16, if that's possible. I know
Sosa is leading in all offensive categories right now: RBIs, home runs, and batting average. So, and you're right, it's at 16, if I'm not mistaken.
Now, Sosa took a foul ball on Saturday. You were following what, and he crumpled. He took a foul ball off of his the inside of his left lower shin. Oh, he looked like he was in a world of pain, crumpled down on the ground, stayed in the game, but, he had the day off today. He did not play. I saw him in the dugout, though. It's a weird feeling to say, boy, I hope we don't lose Lenyn Sosa,
Well, I wrote 4 players' names down on my piece of paper here, my diligent notes that I have prepared for this show. Sosa, I love him. Right now, he is even what is it? When I was there Saturday, he had 2 really hard outs to left field, and it was just kind of the way it went. Just didn't get lucky on him. But another guy, when he steps in the box, I just feel really comfortable that something good is going to happen.
He looks comfortable. He looks like he's figured things out.
Yeah.
I think I saw him. Was it Saturday where he took the ball to the right side with a guy on second? So we had runners in scoring position, and he shot one to the right side. And I was just like, attaboy, man. Yeah. I mean, clapping while watching the game because of something Sosa did. I didn't think I was going to be doing that this coming season. And there's been other blunders, other mistakes. He just seems like he's not there mentally at times. But how do you take his bat out of the lineup? Moving forward,
you can't, and you can live. He's not going to be. He shouldn't be. If he's going to, in the future, be your best player, we have no shot. But if he can be a major contributor to this team in the future, I can live with some of the blunders and mistakes if it doesn't permeate to the rest of the team. Right when it's one guy out of 25. Or a couple guys out of 25, you can live with it. But when it was like before, where everybody seemed to not be in the game or understand the rules of baseball, that becomes a problem. I can live with it if a guy produces. He's producing in other ways. So he's not a perfect player, but he's a guy that I can live with going forward. And if you want to keep him at first base, so be it, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll talk a little 2026 roster. Vargas was at first base today. Sosa's got some looks at first base. To your point, when he comes up and there's a situation where we can get a couple guys in, I feel really confident with Sosa. Like, he's not going to be overmatched. He seems to be getting quality at bats, seeing the ball really well, having a plan, and Montgomery just is like kind of on a heater. I mean, this was Will Venable on Colson Montgomery and his bomb on Sunday. When he clicks a ball, it goes over the fence. When he's getting the meat of the bat to the ball, it's going to go out of the ballpark. That's been great. He's in a good spot. Just got to keep it going. I don't know if you want to call it a zone. He's got that torpedo bat. It just seems, it seems like he is very, very confident and comfortable.
He's got to be seeing the ball really well right now, obviously, because the majority of the balls that he hits are hit very hard. The first at bat in Saturday's game I was at, I mean, he laced one right back of the poor rookie pitcher that the Twins had in right off his thigh. So yeah, he's a dangerous hitter right now. And eventually I would have thought by now it would have been like, okay, there's enough tape on this guy as a rookie. We can start, taking advantage of a hole in his swing. Right now, he's taking advantage of every pitcher's mistake, and he is not missing. So he's kind of locked in. I want to see it go as long as it can. It will, there will be a downfall here, I'm sure, before the end of the year. But if you think about it, I mean, if he won't be considered because of the short time. But if you extrapolate this out over a full season, this is rookie of the year type stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, he very well could be the home run leader of the White Sox by season's end. If Montgomery kind of keeps it up, Sosa, is going to have something to say for that if his leg isn't that bad and it's just a bone bruise or something, and hopefully he bounces back, because I want him. I know the Sox aren't going anywhere, but I just want him to continue this feeling, this confident feeling into the offseason. And I want Colson to feel this. And I want, our young guys, man, Teal had a handful of hits. Caro's getting hits, and Caro looks like a professional hitter.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like what I see out of that guy. And if the Sox are going to carry 3 catchers, which who knows, that might be what they just want to do between Lee, Teal, and Caro. Caro might find that he's going to have to do some DHing because you can't take his bat out of the lineup. But good on Teal. Like, it's exciting to talk about these young guys with excitement, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what about this guy in Mydroth? And, it on and on. And again, the record isn't showing a ton, and there's going to be a lot of angry fans, another possible 100-loss season. When is this team going to wake up and start spending some money? But if you've been paying attention, and I know it's tough to do with the Sox not readily available, on TV, and it's just a rough product. But if you've been paying attention, you've got to feel that there's a difference. It doesn't always line up with the wins and losses. Getting production from the young guys, that has been a joy to watch.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I know you had mentioned, like, let's talk about, I think you did at some point in the show, like, what are you thinking about for next year, and who's here, and what do you need to fill in the space? I mean, I was thinking the same thing. This is how alike you and I are. I was thinking the same thing earlier today at 3:00 in the afternoon. And I started looking at, I didn't go in depth, but I started looking at, third base opportunities and right field, because I don't think Tauchman's a real solution, though he has been a nice piece. And he had another, I think, couple of hits today.
Yeah, he did.
And, he's been a professional player that we've needed, right? A guy that's really kind of seems like a glue guy. And I don't want to just write him off and say he's not worth anything, because he certainly has been to this team this year. But I think an upgrade in right field would be, like we've been saying for the last 25 years, an upgrade in right field would be fantastic. And something a little bit more set it and forget it at third base. And maybe you don't have to shop at the top shelf for both of those spots. But I think one of those spots you really need to find more than just a serviceable type player, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if it's a all-in cannonball splash of a move, but something that is you can depend on it to be a major contributor to your offense, especially your offense in 2026.
Yeah, I think an addition is going to have to be made. There's going to have to be some good faith, and I get it. The looming lockout. There's going to be a lot of anxiety. Could it be these capital infusions from Ish that they possibly could use to get somebody that can contribute 2026 and beyond, whatever 2027 looks like? But you've got to be able to see a nucleus coming together here from what you're watching. Even Getz can see this. Okay, I think we might be solid in some spots up the middle for sure.
Yeah.
Now we got to look at some questionable positions, see what's available out there for us. I mean, I've obviously Benintendi, Robert Jr. I've just got Tauchman for now in right. That's going to be your outfield. Benny, Robert Jr. and Tauchman. And then I've got Vargas at third, Colson at short, Mydroth at second, and then kind of Sosa question mark at first. If he keeps hitting like this, you've got to find something for him. And there are worse things that I think that could happen. But yes, I would love to have a proven answer at first base. And then catching, I've got Teal, Lee, Caro. It seems like that's kind of what they're leaning towards. But then Caro is going to have to be a DH as well. And then pitching is where all the question marks come from. Right now, I mean, Martin and Smith, are there any other shoo-ins? Are there any other rotation spots? I thought it was going to be Cannon, and it doesn't look like he's helping himself at all at the minor league level. That's been really disappointing. That's been one of the most disappointing things of this season, is that Jonathan Cannon did not take the steps forward that I was hoping he would to be a rotation kind of shoo-in over the next several years.
Well, let's take the most recent example of a guy that we were really worried about at the beginning of the year, and that's Colson Montgomery. Now, different things, right? Talking about a pitcher versus a position player, but we were talking about Colson Montgomery going to Arizona to get hitting instruction. I mean, this was a guy that we were counting on this year that could not make this club out of camp, and now we're talking about him as if he would have been able to go, or you're looking at like a rookie of the year type of performance in this back half. So maybe it's Cannon's turn to we would have liked to seen it this year, but can we look for something more for him next year? Let's hope so. And I'm in agreement with you that the starting staff is probably, it's got to be more than just let's piecemeal it together. You got to have something that you can take to the bank. So but that, Nick, is going to be where it's going to probably cost the most, and we know what this team does with paying for pitchers long term. So I'm also looking at this too, Nick. I'm kind of just throwing out the fact of the lockout. I want to live in this conversation without having to think about that, because that's so something that we can't control. I guess it's going to be a reality at some point, but let's just look at it in the guise of it's a normal off season coming up. What do you need to fill? So, and what's realistic? So, I'm also looking at the guys that they've picked up, and filled in that have worked nicely for this team in terms of starting pitching that you didn't really think was going to happen for you. So there's been some good finds by this organization that have not been flashy finds that have helped you and improve this team in some way.
Gomez started the game for the Sox. Yoandris, I believe Gomez, he looked good. I mean, they took him out at 88 pitches, and he threw 4 2/3. It was like, let him get out of the fifth. I think the Sox were up 7-0 or something at that point. He only gave up 2 hits, 6 strikeouts, 3 walks. He's looked like he had some lively stuff. That's the interesting thing. And I had gone to today's game, which was it was a great game. Beautiful weather, 8-0. Great giveaway. Went with our dear friend Eric Carlson, Mr. Eric Gene Honda Carlson, one of the best impressions you'll ever hear, and our intro man and a hell of a golfer as well. And we were talking about the pitching situation. It's crazy that this guy gets pulled at 88 pitches. Young guy, I get it, but I kind of don't get it. Let him get out of the inning. Let him get out. But I think that just shows you how you can't look at wins losses. If you were still looking at wins losses as a defining factor at all for pitchers, it's not like when we were in the 80s and early 90s looking at wins losses in a baseball card, be like, oh wow, well, now I get why this guy was a Cy Young award winner or an all-star. You're going the length to not even qualify. For a win. And even if you go 5 or 6, you're giving the bullpen that much time to just damage things, which the Sox bullpen has done that quite a bit. So it's like, well, if your win-loss record is crappy, that's not the defining, piece. It was just an interesting conversation, and that was a living example with what happened with Gomez. But who knows what's going to happen with this guy? Maybe he slides in. Sydney brought up Sean Burke, who got the boot recently and was told, you're going to have to leave this ball club and figure some things out. He was your opening day starter.
Yeah.
Sean Burke. So it's a revolving door with arms with a team like the White Sox right now, when you don't have a lot of provens and guys are, looking like one thing for a couple months and then they just don't have a solid track record. So I hope Shane Smith could stay the way he is, but he could be a He could be a one-season guy, and then people figure him out, and he just can't create the magic of 2025. I don't know. But the Sox have to really look closely, because I'm not hearing amazing things from Schultz and Smith in the minors either.
Yeah.
I'm not hearing that these guys are lights out and are ready to make the big step. I'm hearing kind of the opposite, which is concerning.
Yeah, not what you want to hear in that. So maybe, again, it's you probably have to go shopping, and you're not going to land maybe the biggest fish. I don't even know what's available out there in terms of free agents and in terms of starting pitching, but regardless of if they're a top tier guy or middle tier type guy, you're going to be overpaying when you're talking about free agent starting pitching. That's just the way it goes. That's the price of playing poker. But maybe if it's just one guy to kind of solidify it and everybody can fall into a certain role from there, that would be nice to see. I'm on board. I'm on board with what you're selling, but I also think that I'd like to see an upgrade in right field, and I'd like to see an upgrade at third base, because I'm with you with Montgomery, Chase at second, and I'm putting Sosa at first.
Well, the first base has become like another black hole. Unfortunately, they thought it was going to be Vaughn. We all thought it was going to be Vaughn, and you thought Elko was going to come in and continue his ways from what he was doing at the AAA level, and that doesn't really seem to be the case at all. Eric brought up the conversation. Do you take a look at Josh Naylor at some point if he becomes available, whatever his contract is? I mean, you're going to have to pay for Josh Naylor, and I know he is an absolute heel for the White Sox, but it's not the first time that's happened where we've gone off after an enemy just to fill a need, and I think the guy can still hit.
Yeah, that's interesting. Again, I'm fine if it's an upgrade anywhere, but right now, maybe I'm wrong for saying this, and it's not like he's had a ton of experience over there, but I don't think you have to be the best defensive infielder to play first base. I'm not going to diminish the position. I've never played it at any level at all, but if I'm going to put my worst fielder anywhere, I'm going to put him at first base and give him a consistent run, especially if he's hitting the ball with power like he is and leading my team in the three major offensive categories, if you want to take batting average for a major category at this point. So I maybe I'm just falling head over heels in love with Lenyn Sosa.
It sure sounds like you're on your way to Grandstand next time you're in the area and you're getting yourself a Lenyn Sosa jersey or a
What
jersey.
kind of a world can you imagine a Sosa White Sox jersey? That's something I thought I'd never say.
I mean, I haven't seen him at the ballpark at all. I mean, he hasn't caught on that much. I mean, when Mercedes had his moment, the Yerminator way back when, I mean, you saw Mercedes jerseys popping up. Now, Lenyn doesn't have that flash, and he didn't have that crazy ride that Yermin did, but he's been able to carry this throughout the whole season, though. Lenyn, yeah. I feel like he's been hitting for a while now, and it's just such a change from last year. That's been making the adjustments in the off season. We haven't had that in a while, so I just kind of picking on that. It's refreshing to see now,
and success for a guy that's gone back and forth too. He has been up and down with this team a couple times, and been able to come back and contribute and lead. That's why it gives me hope for these other guys, especially the mound guys that have had this kind of back and forth failure, success type of thing, that eventually it'll start clicking for some of these top prospect type guys.
We both talked about having Luis Robert Jr. in the outfield in 2026. And I'm starting to come around to then maybe we just keep him. Maybe we hold on to Luis Robert Jr., pick up the option. He's had a hell of a post, trade deadline, post All-Star break. He hit a home run, I believe, on Saturday at your game.
It was a bomb.
Yeah. And he did some work with the bat today, but really it was his glove. I mean, he had 3 defensive plays that I witnessed that one of them I was like, there's no way he's going to get to this. And the other 2, he just closed the gap in a hurry. I mean, his glove was on. What a weapon he can be, a game saver in the outfield there, roaming center field. So this is what Kyle Teal had to say about Robert. And then Robert just speaking about, his work ethic and stuff right now. He's an unbelievable athlete and plays the game really hard, said Kyle Teal. I think that is contagious, and it translates to all of us. That right there, that last part of that, of that quote made me think maybe he should stick around. Maybe he's the leader that we didn't think we were going to have, but we kind of need with some of these young guys. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's switching something mentally. Maybe Robert said, you know what? A deal wasn't pulled. I didn't get traded. They might believe in me and want me to stick around. I don't know. And he's kind of like switched his focus. But for Teal to say that about how it's contagious and like they kind of thrive off of that and it brings them together, I like hearing about that. I mean, that's the type of chemistry that you need. And this is Robert himself talking about how things have been going. You always have to work. There's always stuff to work on. I think in the past, I've been a little passive with my jumps with the balls that are ahead of me. That's the thing I've been working on the most. So I think we've all seen kind of a lackadaisical Luis Robert Jr. in the past at times where maybe, he hasn't been full throttle with effort. He's kind of keeping things maybe in the chamber. Maybe he believes if he goes full throttle, he'll get hurt. He could possibly be believing in his body a little bit more. It's responding better to the things that he wants to do. And it sounds like he's getting a better idea of how to go about roaming. He's continually getting better. Those 2, blurbs on Robert, one from Teal, one from actually Luis Robert Jr., I found that to be pretty telling. and it's gotten me to believe in maybe Robert in 2026. Why not?
It's gotten me thinking the same way. I mean, again, you are reminded, especially in just this weekend, of wow, what the potential is, what the ceiling could be for this guy. And the trade didn't happen. Maybe it goes down and was one of the greatest non-trades of all time. We'll see. But again, I look at the money. It's an option. Pick up the option on him. You don't have a better you don't have a better option for center field better than Luis Robert Jr. He's batting on Saturday, if I remember correctly. He was in the batting sixth. I don't know where he was at today, but maybe that's just more comfortable for him. He doesn't have to be the guy. He can just be a really good player on this team. And the quotes you just mentioned and him talking about himself, it sounds like we've got a little bit more of a mature player on our hands, a guy that's maybe grown up a little bit. And maybe the bad influences are away from him that were maybe plaguing him in the past. Maybe being around that toxic clubhouse and maybe some toxic players, wasn't really working well for a young player that, struggles with the language and not, maybe comfortable in a different country and all that stuff that goes into it. Maybe that was just too much for a young player like that. And he fell into some bad habits and being around some bad vibes. Now you get just some kids that are hungry to play and excited to be around each other, and a manager that seemingly the players want to play for, that is not an embarrassment on a night in and night out basis. I mean, that's got to be refreshing.
Yeah. That's a good point too. I hate to think that Jose Abreu was a bad influence. I think he had to have been a positive influence, but maybe guys like Moncada and Jimenez, and you thought that they were going to bond, and these young guys that have maybe similar baseball backgrounds, and it was maybe not the case. And there was a lot of toxicity, and there wasn't a lot of bonding, and now Robert has kind of like taken a look around and that whole like, well, where is everybody? Well, everybody's gone. You're the last remaining person from that previous era. And he might see, wow, I got a bunch of guys that, aren't these like being given these crazy, extensions earlier in their career. They're not being talked about as the next whatever. They're just hungry baseball players, and they're showing that they've got some talent.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I got to step up and live up to them. I've got to show that I belong with these young guys. Maybe they're living off of each other, but there has been a different edge to Luis Robert Jr. lately. I mean, last 30 games, slashing 310, 363, 478 with 5 home runs. It's the glove, it's the bat, it's the speed. I can't remember a season where he's really been doing all 3 of these things.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't been healthy to do it. He started off slow. The bat was anemic. We were all questioning this could be it for Luis Robert Jr. and kind of rightfully so. I thought he'd be gone. I didn't actually even think he would start the season with the Sox. It seemed like they were hell-bent on moving him. And things have changed. The mentality, I think, has changed with the organization. Robert, is to your point, I think has matured. He's made comments throughout the season about how he has to step up his game. He knows the trade conversation, but he also got the fact that they're not going to get anything for me because I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And It sounds like there is a maturation and more of an understanding of what he's capable of doing, what truly talents he has. And it's awesome to watch when he unleashes them.
He's just he's a special player that has had several unfortunate things happen to his body. And again, I think he was just not mature enough to handle all of it, and probably coached improperly for a while. So Here we are again with you put a player with those types of talents in the right type of situation, in the right environment, and they can thrive. I'm honestly think that his slow start had a lot to do with what you mentioned with the trade, right? The trade that was going to happen every day. It was a question, especially as you got closer to the trade deadline. He's answering these questions. Are you going to be here? What's going to happen? What do you think? And I think that's got to weigh on somebody, especially if you are a little bit fragile and not knowing where you might go or where you might end up. So now that he knows where he's at, I think he's settled in, and next year will take care of itself. And it'll be an interesting, thing for Getz to kind of navigate here, because he's looking at a young nucleus that maybe is coming together a little quicker than he anticipated. If this team isn't doing what it's doing, and I'm not talking about in terms of wins and losses, but just individual contributions, maybe you go, well, maybe I do keep him, because if I can maximize what I get out of this guy, and maybe these other guys seemingly at the same time are ahead of schedule, we may not compete for the division next year, but are we looking at third? Maybe you're looking at that third wild card slot. Who knows? Am I crazy?
No, you're not. Stranger things have definitely happened in baseball, where teams have flipped it kind of under the radar. And I think the Sox nationally could be an under the radar type of team. We locally that have been following them closely see things starting to galvanize. But that, needs to be on Jerry, Ish, the front office, the brass, to give Getz the freedom to spend a little, and Getz has to be smart enough to utilize that allowance. That was the problem with Hahn. There was money given, but the way Hahn allotted it and what he went after, I mean, it was just kind of ridiculous. Some of the things that he was doing and some of the monies that he was handing out and the way he was doing it. So that's a top-down thing. Hopefully there's a realization. Okay, there's some excitement a little bit here. We've got some guys to get fans interested in. Let's try to build off of, anything that was, simmering from the previous year we had with fan involvement and, bringing people out to the ballpark. And, if this team can end on a high note, this last full month of baseball coming up, and it's a winning month, and they exceed, and beat the prognosticators with win total and all of that stuff, and they go out on a high note, I think you've got to strike.
Yeah.
You've got to make some moves to build off of this, in any way, shape, or form. Addressing your questions, you got to spend on an arm. You have got to spend on an arm eventually, and maybe you kind of like, this is the season. This is the off season. You're sneaky that way and can somehow find a way to do that, and get an arm to buy into what you're doing. I don't know, but that's got to happen.
Well, if you think about it, the thing that we've heard for a long time that's kind of irked us, and you mention it all the time, is this division. The division is ripe for the picking, because, as you mentioned before, all four teams minus the Tigers, who are in first place, are a negative run differential. The Royals will be in town next to play our White Sox. I believe if you take the Sox out of their win-loss total, they're a 400 ball club. They're an 800 ball club against us. But against everybody else, they're a 400 ball club. So they're not very good. Man. And we just saw the Twins. They're not a good team. Yeah. And the Guardians will always find a way to just be pesky and that kind of thing. But they're not a good ball club, and they're never going to spend. So, they may come back and compete next year, but who knows? And the Tigers, Tigers have they're the cream of the crop, right? So I don't think they're falling back anytime soon, but there's a lot of parity in the game right now, Nick, and the Tigers are a good team, but as everybody's seen in this, this league or the leagues, teams are going to be going hot and cold a lot. The Dodgers are not what we thought they would be. They're not the world beaters everybody thought they would be. Look at the Braves, how they've come back down to earth this year. So this game is, a tough game, and you might as well try and strike while the iron is hot when you've got some young pieces that are producing, that don't know any better. Put some stuff around it with some money, and you could have a winning ball club next year, Nick.
I believe that. I really do. From watching this team as closely as I have been over the last couple of months, and seeing what I'm seeing with guys that we had a lot of hope for, that we were hoping would not only develop but be an integral part. That's happening right now. There's a lot of other pieces that need to be fleshed out, but that can be done. That could be figured out. Sox have got the Royals and the Yankees coming up here. Boy, I would love to see the Sox punch the Royals in the mouth here this week. Really take them down a couple pegs. Now, Royals are 10.5 out of the division. They're second place now. Tigers have the second most wins in all of baseball at 78. Tigers are slowly starting to run away now. It got close there for a bit, but now the Tigers have got up that double-digit lead. Cleveland, a game under 500. The Twins, 12 games under 500. And we are all the way back, of course, in the cellar. So we've got a quote of the week that also features some maturation, I think. It's from Colson Montgomery. We're going to get to that in a moment. Sydney had mentioned in the chat not too long ago that the MLB schedule for 2026 is finally going to be released on Tuesday. I've been looking forward to this. Feels rather late compared to previous seasons. Is there anybody on the schedule, Pat, that, everybody plays everybody these days? If you were to travel, is there something that you would look at and say, oh, that's interesting? The Sox are in this city. Mm-hmm. I'd like to make my way over there and see the Sox in that ballpark or in that town.
Yeah, I mean, I've always looked at, and I think you've been out there. I know you've been on just about everywhere. You have all the bobbleheads, and you've been to all the ballparks. Pittsburgh, just because the ballpark, I think. Yeah. And again, I haven't. The schedule, when it comes out on Tuesday, you said.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking more ballpark than opponent. So going out to Pittsburgh, I think it would be cool to see that ballpark. I think San Francisco, not the fact that I really want to hang out in San Francisco, but to go see that ballpark, I think would be neat, and a fun thing to do. So those would be, again, one side of the country to the other. Those would be where I'd like to go. And I part of me also maybe would like to go up to Toronto. I think that'd be a fun experience. Go to Toronto. But outside of that, anybody obviously in the division, I don't really have I don't have a hankering to go out there. They were out there this year, so I don't think it's happening next year, but Colorado would be another one to go see, just because beautiful part of the country. But those would be some that I would.
Those are good choices. Those are good choices. And I think you'd have a good time with that. We were sitting next to a couple from San Diego that were in town. They were in Chicago for the weekend, and they are also trying to see a bunch of ballparks, and they just came to see a Sox game on Sunday. And we were talking to them about Petco, and I've been to San Diego in the downtown area where Petco is, and I've passed by the stadium, never got in. That is on my bucket list right now. Not only is San Diego such a beautiful city and a great vacation spot, but if they could be in San Diego, and it's the summertime, I could wrap a vacation and a Sox trip. Whoa, baby. That is right up my alley.
I think if that happens, Nick, you hold up the sign that says, "Go F yourself, San Diego." As the great Ron Burgundy once said.
I think I just dress as Ron Burgundy, and I just show up and just claim that I am Ron Burgundy.
I think that'd be a good choice.
And just storm the field. I would like to also. I'd like to go to. I lived in Washington D.C. for a couple of years. I went to Nationals Park a few times to see a ball game out there, but I'd love to see my Sox and make a trip back to DC. So I'm looking for that. And then I don't know. I got to get to Atlanta. That would, and I do have to get to San Francisco. I'm with you on the San Francisco thing. I haven't been to that ballpark.
My recommendation is if you're going to go to Atlanta, you may not want to go if it's, July.
Okay.
Because it's going to be quite balmy. If it's a May game, you can, make that trip. If it's a September game, make that trip, but maybe not July or August.
Okay. Well, Tuesday, the schedule comes out. Take a look. I know a lot of people, they plan their vacations and trips around that Sox schedule, making either a road trip or a flight somewhere. So you and I we've traveled via car to see our White Sox in Kauffman Stadium. I think we ate some great barbecue and food. That was probably the highlight of those trips. I don't know.
The key is that you say we think. We were there's pictures that say we were there.
Those were some days back then. I was having 2 Fridays and a Saturday on most weekend nights, and so someone would have to fill in the details there. But
but yes, we were there. Yes,
foggy. It was. We were there. All right, folks. Thank you so much for being with us on this Sunday night. Hey, next weekend is Labor Day weekend. I think we are going to take a day of rest and take a time out from the pod. We'll take a break and then come back in September, refreshed and ready to go. Want to thank everybody for being with us on this live stream, subscribing, passing it along, and thank you all so much that are with us on the audio and such loyal listeners. It means a ton to us. I've got some thoughts about next season that I want to talk about the next time we have a show. Pat, remind me some ideas I have for live shows.
Okay.
I've got an idea that I wanted to talk about. So thank you as always. You can find the podcast absolutely everywhere you find your podcast. Quarter of the week is from the hottest man alive here with the bat, Colson Montgomery. My struggles in the minor leagues help when you go through times like this, Montgomery said. It keeps you level-headed, and you are one swing away. I keep saying that. You have that kind of mindset. And when you go through things, you kind of think about, I need to get 2 hits, I need to get 3 hits, just put one good swing on the ball, and it can make a difference. That was Colson Montgomery. And, I think he is speaking a little, wiser than his age. I mean, he's been through a lot already, a lot of ups and downs. A lot of weight has been on his shoulders since he was drafted. And the expectations that he is going to be, the next leader in this wave that is going to help push the Sox not out of the cellar. And, hearing things like that, he's got a nice approach mentally, and it's really showing now with, the physical stuff, with him being able to mash the ball. And that was good to read, and it's been good to see.
Yeah. Again, maturity. And that's what I like to hear from him. And this is a guy that you look at as, if he does project out to be the next great player for the Chicago White Sox, right, or the next perennial all-star, the maturity and seemingly falling into a leadership role too is something you love to see. So you want your best players to be your leaders, and that could be in his future. Just seems like he's that type of guy to me. And again, it's been a short, small sample size, but I like everything I've seen.
Yeah. Exciting stuff. Hopefully it continues the next time we get back on the mics. We've got more fun things to say about him. Pat, always a pleasure, buddy. It's been great getting back talking to you, and hopefully you have a nice Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. Happy Labor Day to everybody this coming weekend. Be safe, have fun, and we'll get you on the flip side of after Labor Day.
Yeah, early September. Hey, for Pat Hester, I am Nick Murawski. Until next time, go Sox.